Boom shakalaka, what is up crypto love? Randall here, and today we have an episode about B token, a very interesting looking ICO coming up. Now before we get started, just want to say thank you to everyone subscribing, thank you to everyone mashing on that like button, and if you want to find out how to get a Ledger Nano S for free, stay tuned. Now, taking a look at B token, first thing I noticed was they have a very nice website. I know you guys get on my case all the time all about this because I take a look at a website. If it's a nice website, yes, it does influence me. It makes a difference. They spent a couple extra dollars, got a really good web developer to make a beautiful website. And yes, that makes a huge difference. But let's get into the token because I know you guys don't want to hear that stuff. All right, so basically the B token is the future of home sharing. Basically, this is Airbnb on the blockchain. I know for a fact I would use that. Every time I travel, I use Airbnb. Well, if I can use a B token instead and save money, yeah, I'm gonna do that. Not to mention, it's on the blockchain. I prefer to do everything on the blockchain. But guys, you see this button there, read the white paper? Yeah, read the white paper. I read it like 3 or 4 times. It's actually pretty interesting, all the stuff they have going on with this project. And I probably won't be able to cover it all in this episode because I'm even including an interview with the CEO, Chou, but there's a lot, all right? So yeah, 0% commission. That means that they don't take fees. One of the problems with Airbnb, with Uber, with all these big things is they take tons of fees. Like, you ever hear the Uber drivers complaining about how they don't make any money anymore? It's because the Uber, the company, and the initial investors, they're making all the money, not the drivers, and definitely not the people paying for it. All right, but about B, check out the team, okay? They got people from Google, Facebook, Uber, Civic, all of that. All right, and what they're doing, they're creating a few things. So one is called the B Nest, which I'll show you a prototype of in a little bit. Basically, that is the home sharing platform. So that is like where you would go to search for houses, to find stuff. If you're traveling, you go to the B Nest, and that's where you find your next vacation rental. All right, they also have the B protocols, which are smart contracts, basically their way of regulating stuff in terms of payment, arbitration, and reputation. And then they have the B token. And I always stress that it's important that a token should have use within the ecosystem. Well, this token is a way of payment. But guys, here's the crazy thing. You don't actually need to have cryptocurrencies to use the B Nest, okay? You can book your room using fiat. It costs you a little bit extra. You get charged 4% for using fiat, 3.99, whatever. Or if you pay with Bitcoin, Ethereum, you get charged a little bit less fee. It's like 1%, 1.25%. It's in the white paper, go read that. But if you use B tokens, there's no commissions. So stock up on B tokens, get your cheap vacations. That's what I would do. Now, obviously, they're gonna say this multiple times, 0% commissions, incentives. So one of the things with ICOs is always important to figure out how they're going to get user adoption, all right? So basically, user adoption here is going to be the people who are renting out their house. Well, they're going to be able to make more money. And then the people using the B Nest are going to be able to spend less to stay there. So both sides of this win, and it'll just kind of be getting the implementation. But I think based on their team, which we'll go over in a little bit, they potentially have what it takes to get it out there to get user adoption. So the roadmap right now, they have a white paper. It is a very good white paper. I actually had to read it multiple times in order to be able to understand all of it, but it's definitely worth the read. They have the private alpha on the Ethereum testnet, which I'll show you in a little bit. All right, or maybe I can't show you. I'll have to double check. If it's not in here, it's because I wasn't allowed to show you, but I wanted to. All right. They also, in Q1, Q2, they are going to be having the alpha live in San Francisco. So that's the beginning of next year. They're also going to launch the B protocols on the testnet. So that's the payment arbitration reputation that I was talking about. Then, the end of next year, they're going to have the mainnet launch. Okay, this thing is going to be live. And in 2019, expand up to 5 cities. First, it's going to start in San Francisco, then expand up to 5 cities. And then in 2020, that's what I'm waiting for. When it's going global, all right, I want to go. I'm probably going to Singapore soon and Thailand. And I want to stay in a B Nest place. But alas, can't do that yet. Now let's talk about the team. Guys, I always stress the importance of a team. It is hugely important to have a really good team behind you. And not only do they have a bunch of heavy hitters on the team, but they have heavy hitters with blockchain experience. How often do you find that in cryptos? Not too often. So Chou is the CEO. He previously worked with Uber in the security division. So he was helping preventing hacks. crazy, right? Also, look at all these different companies: Uber, Facebook, Google, Civic. Okay, Min Kim, who's the head of business development, she was the former chief of staff for Civic. You know, Civic with Vinnie Lingham. Yeah, crazy. All right, what other stuff we have? We have Google. We have all these different things. Uber, Google. I mean, I asked John because I was like, "How do you get so many heavy hitters on a team?" And it turns out there are a lot more of them in San Francisco than other places in the world, but still, heavy hitter team. And not only the team, but the advisors. Look at the advisors. They have Richard Ma from QuantStamp, okay? This guy's a genius. They have a whole bunch of these little hacker houses that are kind of backing them, behind them, and that is something worthwhile to note, all right? Now, we're going to take a look at what's going on in the media because it's not just all about the website. Well, if you take a look on their Twitter, they have some strategic partnerships with Request Network for payments, with Rentivo for short-term rental housing, that type of thing. All right, and they have some other partnerships coming up with Origin, right there. Yep, exactly. So they have all that stuff coming up. Now, I have to ask if I can show you this part. So if you're seeing this, it's because I was allowed to. If you're not, whatever. But this is the alpha. So this is like the test. We'll have to see if I can show this. But basically, I mean, look at how clean it is. Look at how nice it is. Very pretty. Obviously, they had someone do some very good web design. You basically just search your location, the dates you want to check in, the dates you want to check out, how many guests you find at home, and they have a couple example ones here. So you can just go, and it shows you a bit more about it, how much per night. They have it both in the USD and in B, so basically it'll help people get transitioned to using cryptocurrencies, all right? And then has all the information. So really taking a look at this, you would not even know you are on the blockchain if you're doing this. You really wouldn't, all right? And one thing I talk with them about is, you guys know I poo-poo all over Ethereum all the time because of how slow it is. Well, they've already taken a look at implementing other solutions in case Ethereum doesn't help with its scaling issues. So they're already thinking ahead, they're already taking care of that stuff. And now I'm just going to paste in the CEO interview. You guys can take a look at that, see what you think about it. So let's take a look. All right, what's up, everybody? I am here with John from BToken, and today we are talking about his new platform. So they are coming out with their pre-sale starting on January 2nd, and their ICO starts January 31st. So John, what is up?
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm excited and a big fan of the channel.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you here. I mean, I'm glad you guys reached out, and then I was reading through your white paper. I've honestly read it like 3 or 4 times because it is somewhat technical, and there's a lot in there. But tell us all about BToken. Like, why BToken over other ICOs that are out there?
Yeah, so for us, we think cryptocurrency is really early. So tackling the obvious problems are first. So BToken is a decentralized Airbnb. And if you want, I can talk about the business reasons behind it.
Yeah.
Cool. So the first part is the tokenization. And for any traditional company, as it grows in value, all that value is captured by only a few people. So if we use Uber, for example, Uber went from $0 to $70 billion. So all of the founders and VCs, their stock appreciates like crazy. But then for the drivers and the people who actually use the platform, the drivers constantly complain that they're making less and less money, from like $40 an hour to $10 an hour. Mm-hmm. So when you tokenize, then everyone has these tokens and they feel aligned together to grow the network, as opposed to only a few people win in the network versus everyone. Yep. And the second part is removing the middleman. So you take the 15-20% commission that Airbnb has and you cut it to 0.
Yeah, that sounds great. And so I was actually curious about that. So how does everyone working on the team get rewarded, since there are no really fees collected from the ecosystem? Yeah.
So we do still have a few monetization structures. Mm-hmm. So the first structure is like Binance, where Binance, they cut half of your fees if you use Binance Coin on their exchange. Mm-hmm. So we're the same. If you use BToken, we don't charge any commission. But then if you want to use Bitcoin or Ethereum, then we charge a 1% to 2% convenience fee. So we see not everyone wants to go through that hassle.
Yeah.
And we can.
And that's actually a great model that you guys have, because it's like one of the things with getting adoption in terms of people using it is people using fiat or Bitcoin Ethereum, and you've actually implemented that into your platform to be able to accept that.
Yep, exactly. So we're starting with B token, and then Bitcoin and Ethereum coming after soon, and then fiat will be discussed in the future.
Okay, yeah, that's great. So in terms of your team, you have some heavy hitters on the team, some people who have been involved in blockchain and other startups and other huge companies. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I personally used to lead the security team at Uber, so basically preventing Uber from getting hacked. Wow. And then after working quite a while in Silicon Valley, when we were looking to start a company, I reached out to basically the best engineers I knew. They're all from Google and Uber, if you look at the website, and product managers from Facebook. I just reached out to them to gauge their initial interest, and I was very surprised when almost everyone wanted to get on board.
Yeah. This is just kind of like a personal thing that I was curious about. Because it seems like you have so many heavy hitters on the team. Like, do you just find people like that all over the place out in San Francisco? Or like, how does that happen?
So, I would say the density is much higher than normal, but even among Silicon Valley and San Francisco, if you're a startup and you want to recruit someone from like Google, Facebook, Uber, I think it's still a really honorable thing. I think startups really try to pursue it, and there's still a limited supply. That's for sure.
Yeah. All right. Great. And so one of the things that I was reading about in your white paper is this arbitration system that you have set up to basically make the smart contracts set up to where there's no issues between someone purchasing, someone getting paid, all that stuff. Can you explain that for us?
Yeah, so I think dealing with subjectivity on the blockchain is really interesting because smart contracts are extremely logical, and then you need to deal with certain new situations. Mm-hmm. So the way we're dealing with this is similar to how Plasma deals with it. It's by using a judicial panel, so having judges or arbiters on the system. So when you have a problem, then you submit your claim or dispute to this panel of, let's say, 5 random judges, and then they look at the case, review it, and then make a vote. And based on the majority vote, then that decision is executed by the smart contracts.
Mm-hmm. All right, great. One of the potentially limiting factors that I saw. So last week or a couple weeks ago, I played around with CryptoKitties, and I noticed how slow it was actually working on the Ethereum blockchain at the time being. I know they have some solutions potentially in the future for things like that. Have you guys kind of looked into alternatives or things to address with Ethereum scalability?
Yeah, so for us, we explored a few options, including IPFS and other scalability, secondary layers scalability platforms. Mm-hmm. And for us, what we're doing is we're using Ethereum on-chain for recording and having the hashes for verification. And then if scalability becomes an issue, we actually use AWS off-chain because we feel that decentralized systems are what would work at scale as of right now. So if the network ever gets overloaded, we actually switch to AWS.
Let's see, anything else you want to mention? There are a couple other questions that were floating around in my head that'll come back eventually.
Yeah, I think one thing I always forget to mention is our advisors. So we have Richard from QuantStamp personally investing and advising in us, and I know they have a big following.
Yeah. Yeah, so you do have some big partnerships that you just recently announced on Twitter with Request Network. Also, there's another one.
Rentivo.
Rentivo, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And yeah, we have a few. And like we have with Origin and Connects. They're like upcoming projects. They're not really, but they're coming up.
So what kind of time frame are you looking in terms of providing a workable business for everyone out there, providing and getting the token in use in the B token atmosphere? Yeah,
so we're already live on the Ethereum testnet.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see everything working as it would in production. And then for us, we're doing some last minute security audits, some UI changes to make everything look a little bit nicer. And then we'll probably be live in Q1 in San Francisco.
Wow, that's awesome. And so you're starting in San Francisco and then you're kind of moving out from there?
Yeah, so I think what we're going to do is target San Francisco, really reach a a huge market penetration cryptocurrency. So we're partnering with all of the local hacker houses and communities here. And then from there, we're going to expand to New York and LA, and then further probably expand to major hubs all around the world.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds really good. I'm very excited for it because, like I said, I use Airbnb all the time when I travel, and it would be even better to be able to use B token, pay with cryptocurrencies. I'm very excited for it personally.
I agree. I think for most people they would never part with their crypto, but maybe for like a memorable stay or experience, they might be willing to.
Absolutely. So let's see. We've covered the token. We've covered the ICO and the pre-sale, the team, the advisors. Anything else?
I think I don't know. We have a pretty low cap. Our cap is only 15 mil. I think a lot of people get excited about that because we're trying to keep it kind of like Ethereum and Quantum and Neo. They all started with like a really low cap, and it's great. And so for us, we don't want to like nickel and dime people, even though we could probably raise a lot more.
Yeah.
So I think it's something that the community really likes. But I think the three things the community usually likes is they like that we have a working prototype. So I guess you'll be able to see that soon.
Okay.
The team and the low cap. I think that's usually like what drives them insane.
Awesome. All right, guys, if you hung around this time, it's because you want that free Ledger Nano S. So how you do it, you go to crypto-love.com/ledger. You could enter to win a free Ledger Nano S. I will buy it. I will ship it to you. Everything. You just get to receive it and use it absolutely free. And lastly, guys, those of you who made it all the way to the end, you are my favorite. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for mashing on that like button. Thank you for being you. And I will catch you in the next time. Peace!